Okay, hello everybody. I am sharing my kitchen background. We did not even clean up from dinner tonight. We had homemade pizza, make your own pizzas, I should say, for family night. So tonight I'm sharing a little bit about my story. And if you have questions along the way, feel free to put them in the chat box. If you're watching the replay of this, feel free to comment on this video. If you have specific questions about anything that I shared, or maybe a topic that you're interested in that I didn't share, feel free to ask about that too. So before I get to any questions though, I'm just going to kind of share a little bit about my journey over the last, really it's been 4 years that I've started to take my health more seriously and just share with you a little bit. My goal is to share a few things on the screen too, pictures that I've taken along the way that I thought would be of encouragement to you and will fit along with the story, but I've never done that before, so I don't know if it's going to work. So anyways, I've been married almost 11 years. In May, we get to celebrate 11. Actually, my brother's getting married on our anniversary this year, so that'll be fun. But Josh is amazing, always has been, and super supportive. And he's one of those men who is as amazing as it is. This is grace, guys. This is love is blind. It didn't matter at what point of my journey I was in. It was kind of like he didn't even see me that way. He saw me the same. He was looking at me through like I'm his wife and he loves me no matter where I am. And every stage has been that way. And when I pull up pictures of like comparing to where I was, or if I'm putting something together to show a transformation story, he'd be like, I don't remember you that big. And he's not that guy that tells you that so that makes you feel good. He's a black and white personality, and he's not afraid to speak the truth, even if it hurts. So I love that about him, and sometimes I hate it about him. But anyway, so we've been married almost 11 years, and he's just been so good to me all the way through this. And I've had a battle with self-image for a really long time. And part of that is because I believe that is something that I have had to, and I don't know if any of you are familiar with generational curses, but that's just something that is filtered down through my family. And a lot of them stem from not having a secure relationship in the Lord and knowing who I am in and through him and viewing myself the way he views me. And just, again, a lot of the other insecurities that I've had to work through that came filtered down through have played into that a lot. So I can remember back in middle school, I used to actually write down so I come from, there's 9 kids in my family. There's 5 girls, 4 boys. And so my family didn't have a lot of money and didn't have, we didn't always have new clothes. We didn't go clothing shopping at the beginning of every school year. And so we relied heavily on hand-me-downs and Goodwill and, that kind of thing. And so I can remember as far back as 7th grade. Well, I remember other bad memories of like being concerned about what I look like, but this was in the area of clothing. And I used to, I would write down, like I had pages and pages and pages of Monday through Friday. This is the shirt I wore. This is the jeans that I wore. These are the shoes that I wore, because I was so concerned of what other people would think if they saw me wear the same thing, like in the same week. Like if I wore it Monday, I couldn't wear it Friday. I had to make sure I switched up the top and the bottom, which is funny because if my husband were right here, he would totally laugh and agree, but I live in the same clothes. I work out and then I don't shower and then I live in the same clothes, and I could care less. I go out in public. Oh, so right there, that's a testimony right there of how God has just freed me from the idea of what other people think. So, but I can remember as far back as that. I can remember in like 3rd, 4th grade being so concerned. Like I was wearing the skinny jeans and those were no longer in style and the boot cut and flares were coming in. And I just remember thinking, oh my word, I have to wear these skinny legs and pants with the stirrups. What is everybody going to think? So even early elementary school, I can remember having self-image issues. And then through high school, I was pretty fit. I've been blessed I was always active, but I wasn't always an athlete. In high school, I played volleyball. And then when I was 18, I had Castor. I was a senior in high school. I had him December of my senior year. And so after I had him, I continued to work out. I started going to a gym. within a year, now remember, I was 18 and this is a big part of that, and it was my first baby, I was in better shape than I was before I had him. And Josh, my current husband, is Castor's father. So fast forward 21, I'm now married, and I have gone up in weight, like still normal, still very healthy. And then I get pregnant on our honeymoon. And I was so excited, started wearing maternity clothes right away. Like as soon as I found out, I read the stick and I went and put maternity pants on. Like it was great. And I just started eating everything because I was so excited. Castor was 3 at this point. We so wanted a baby. We so wanted a girl. We were really excited. And I ended up gaining 30 or 40 pounds with that pregnancy. So I had Hannah in March of 2007. And Josh's mom passed away in July of 2007, and she was my spiritual mom. Her and I, which is awesome. That's a whole nother story of God's redeeming and reconciliation through that relationship. But so I lost basically my mom too. And so March of 2007, I have a baby and I had never lived on my own. So in May of 2006, I got married. I got pregnant right away. That next year, I had a baby. And when I had my first baby, I lived at home. So I had all the help of my mom and all my family. And now here I am having a baby, living on my own, doing it all by myself like everybody else does. But that was new to me. And then my mother-in-law dies 4 months later. A week or two later, I find out that I'm pregnant and I have a 5-month-old. And then a couple weeks later, I find out that I miscarried. So 2007 was probably one of our hardest years as far as we had a lot of deaths in our outer circle, but the hardest one was his mom. And then, so we're still in 2007. I've been pregnant. I've had a baby. We had a lot of loss, including a baby. I got pregnant again, lost a baby. And then in December of that year, I was pregnant again. So I got pregnant with Aiden in December of 2007. And I hadn't had time to lose any baby weight from Hannah because there was just so much emotionally going on. And at that time, I had no idea how to run to the Lord for things. I was eating my way through my emotions and like didn't even realize it at that point. And so I never lost the baby weight and continued to gain with Aiden. I did the same thing actually with Hannah in months October and November that I was pregnant with her. I gained 10 pounds each month. And my doctor was like, you might want to slow that down a little bit. But again, it was I'm pregnant. It's okay. Like, it doesn't matter. That was my mindset. And so I had Aiden in September of 2008. Yes. And after that, my sister and I at the time said that we wanted to start working out together. She had a baby 2 days after I did. And so we started going to the gym. And so I started working out, kind of just followed her around because she knows a little bit more about it than I did. Still didn't really know what I was doing. And as far as nutrition went, I had no idea. I was eating chicken and fish and rice and green beans, and that's it. And like no seasonings, no oils, and it was horrible. It took me like an hour to eat a serving of tuna because it's disgusting. I don't eat it. And it was dry and it was horrible. And I'm like, I'm busting my butt. I'm going to the gym. We went to the gym at night. We didn't go to the gym till 8:30, 9 o'clock at night because that's when our hubbies were home and our kids were in bed and we could go. And I was eating this food that was just bland and gross. And so that went on for a little while. She ended up doing a figure competition. And so I just kind of like let her do her own thing and I kind of slacked off and put on some weight again. And I just didn't know what to do. And then like a new person would come into my life. So I started adapting their health habits and not even habits, but just what they were doing. I didn't ask them why. I didn't know why. I just knew that I needed something and was just kind of doing what everyone else was doing. And then I got pregnant again in 2012. God bless us with our 4th and last child, Ezzy, and he was born April 2013. And that's when I knew that like I really felt, and all along this time I've been growing with God. My relationship with God was getting better, not great, but better. And I knew God loved me and I knew I was created in his image, but I just never really took that to heart. It was here. It wasn't here. There was a broken connection between the two. And I also knew that I just wanted to feel better. I didn't want to be tired. I didn't want to be napping more than my kids were napping. So I knew that I needed to do something different, and I needed something for me instead of following what everyone else was doing. So I had heard about Insanity, and I just decided that I was going to do this. And here I was, 3.5 months post baby, and I borrowed the program. I didn't even buy it. I borrowed it from my sister, and I did it. And the way that I stayed accountable, God was already starting to work in my head. He knew that I needed the accountability. And so I did my very first Insanity workout, and I posted the post-workout picture on Facebook, and I was like, this is how I'm going to stay accountable. Because for me, I was still struggling and caring what other people thought. And I thought, if I post it to Facebook, then I'm going to have to keep up with it, because everyone's going to wonder, oh, is she doing it anymore, or did she throw in the towel? So even though my motivation was not right, like part of it wasn't right because I was still concerned about what other people were thinking, God used that and turned it into something good. So I did it. I completed the full program. Nutrition was up in the air. I kind of took what I knew of eating healthy and kind of threw in my own thing and just started really focusing on trying to eat more whole foods, cleaner foods. But again, I had no idea what that was. So 9 months later, I did one round of Insanity and decided that was insane. I will never do it again. So I switched to T25. So I went from 60-minute workouts, because Insanity starts to really get up there at the end. Some of them are even over an hour. And there were times that I was starting at like 8 o'clock, 9 o'clock at night. And I'm like, who does this? Who would voluntarily do an hour-long program? Anyway, so I dropped. I went to T25, and that became my soulmate workout. And so I did that one for, I think, a year and a half. But in that first 9 months after I started, I ended up losing like 35 pounds. And most of that came from just not overeating, like eating till I got to a point of feeling I'm satisfied most of the time. And most of that time, it was pretty good food. But I still had no idea about portions. I still had no idea about reading labels, and I hadn't done any of that kind of stuff yet. So I lost my first 35 pounds. And then for the next, like, I don't know, year and a half, 2 years, then I did T25. And then I heard about 21 Day Fix, and I really wanted to try it. So summer of 2015, I got a hold of, again, didn't buy it. I did buy T25. I did commit, and I bought T25. But I wasn't sure if I would like 21 Day Fix or not. So I borrowed it from somebody who had it. And I tried it for like 2 months, realized I loved it. I loved the workouts. I loved the results. I felt like for 21 days, they really target all over body work. And it's really a workout that anyone of any size, of any shape could come in and do. That's what I felt. Now, a lot of people may try that and feel like it's too much for them, but they may be trying to keep up. I really feel like you can do any workout, but you have to be willing to back down and start slow. And that's hard for a lot of us. But I felt like 21 Day Fix was a great program that could come in. The modifier cat was awesome. And anyways, I loved it. So, and then I meet this amazing Christian girl on Instagram, and we had all these weird connections. She lives in Alaska. Her name is Katie Amberson. And so she was willing to risk everything and let me into one of her groups for free. And I was with her for about 4 months, and I got to my lowest weight ever. And I went out shopping. I was so excited. And I was like, oh, this is great. This is great. So in January of 2016, I was talking to my husband. I was like, Josh, I really I've had 4 or 5 different people come to me and say, what are you doing to lose weight? How are you keeping it off? And I basically gave Beachbody 4 free customers, and some random person made money off of them. And so I said, I really want to do this. I think I really want to coach. And we talked about it. I asked Katie a bazillion and 2 questions before I signed my name on the dotted line and decided, yes, this is something I wanted to do. So January of 2016, I became a coach, and then I coached all last year. Shelly was in my first group. And it was a great year. It was a lot of learning for me. I have grown leaps and bounds this past year as far as nutrition, as far as fitness, as far as mindset. I mean, God is just like kind of came in, erased everything that I thought, and then just has slowly been putting stuff back in, but it has a filter now. It's filtering through him instead of me and how I want and what I see in the mirror. And so don't get me wrong, that is still a struggle, ladies. I still have to catch myself. If I'm not spending time in the Word and I'm not getting my personal development in and keeping my mind focused on where it needs to be, I get caught up in, oh, maybe these jeans are a little snug, or I look in the mirror and I'm like, no, that is not who I am. That is not where I find my value and my worth. And so I want to try, I'm going to try and share a few pictures here. I don't know how to do it. Okay. Yay. Okay, this will work. I just need you to tell me if you end up seeing. Can you see my computer screen? Yeah? Okay. All right, good. Okay, so this is what I showed you before. You can see these pictures? Yeah? Okay. I didn't think I took these until actually the only picture I thought I had was this one. And then another picture from when I went out to dinner with friends. Before the week I started Insanity, I went out to with my high school friends from high school. I went out to dinner with my high school friends, and I was still wearing maternity clothes. And it was the only thing that fit me, the only thing I was comfortable in. And I didn't realize I took these until last week. I put in a thumb drive looking for some pictures, and I found these. And I was like, oh, they're not clear, because if you can tell, I'm holding a little old cell phone, not a smartphone, and I'm taking the pictures. And I'm so glad I found them. And not for a reason of look what I did, but because I'm going to share with you a little secret. So, but this is me. This is my starting picture. And, I look at them. I'll be honest, Castor was kind of grossed out, but probably more so because it was his mom. And I just look at them and I think, I see her and I see that's a body that gave birth to 4 children, 4 healthy kids, by the way, amazing kids. And I'm thinking I was unhappy then. And then I look at this picture, and first of all, I see my brother Derek look just like him in that picture. But I see someone who was willing to give herself a shot. I was willing to put money and invest in myself. And because I was willing to do that, other great things happened. So that's my before. And then I got to some good places along my journey. Let me find I started a new folder here we go. Okay, so I showed you that picture. So all along the way, I will show you when I talk about mindsets and posting things and saying positive things about yourselves, I'm so glad I took these pictures too. These are pictures of my kitchen. Now they're not there anymore, but guys, I needed to be telling myself, I needed to be filling my head with positive things and truth. And so I had to have it in front of me all the time, because it's a constant battle and a constant struggle when, you're working so hard to make these changes, and it's a slow process. Lasting change is a slow process. The only overnight change that we are going to see is when we leave this earth and we get to heaven. And so these are my kitchen cabinets. Reminders of what I see in the natural, and then what I have to remind myself that they are. Reminding myself that I can do these things. Today counts. Draw near to God and He will draw near to you. I had these things all over what the Word of God says in Jesus Christ, who I am. All of these were all over my cabinets. And you know what? People would come in, and I didn't think twice about it because I knew I needed it. But I'm sure there were people who were like, oh, she has stuff all over her cabinets. But you know what? I needed that. That's what I had to do. That was one of the boards that I had on my refrigerator. This is a good one. Envy is resenting God's goodness in someone else's life and ignoring the goodness in your own life. So we're all at different stages of this journey, guys. And this was a big one for me. You know, if somebody gets to a place in their health journey that's further ahead than yours, we should be excited for them, not like, oh, they're there, I'm not there. You know, so this one was a big one. So screenshot that or let me know if you want it and I can send it to you. But that's a really, really good one, guys. And then that was another one that I had. That's a good one too. That's a good one for my business. I'll show you that in a little bit. Okay. So all along the way, I had to work at, I had to make it a priority. I chose to move my body every day. And then I got to these different levels. After 21 Day Fix, I really started to see some different kinds of changes. Now, I'm going to show you these pictures. These pictures are not on Facebook because I'm not the showy type. I've actually debated even showing my starting pictures that I just found because I don't want the focus of a health transformation to be about the outside. I want it to be about the inside, and what we're really talking about here is these mental mindsets. And so I don't know, God's going to have to give me some clear direction on that. So I'm going to show you some different progressions. And this was, I think, January. This is March of last year. Okay. So a good picture. Like, I would be happy with that picture, you know? You think I would be happy with that picture? And I was, for the most part. Much different from my previous picture. I had this picture because I was doing hammer and chisel and I just felt so strong. I had Josh take this picture and I'm showing it to you not to be vain, but I was excited because it wasn't about being skinny. I was strong. Like, I had muscles and I was like, I want to show my dad. Like, growing up, I always say, Dad, show me your baseball muscles, because he has these like softballs right here in his arm. And he's not like a beefy guy. He has a belly on him, but he has always worked with his arms, and he's a truck driver, so he's all the time using his hands. So his biceps are ginormous. And I was like, oh, I want to show my dad this picture. You know, it was about the strength I was gaining. So that's why I took that picture. And this one, I took this picture. This one I did post at one point, and I was like, holy cow, like, I was so excited. Look at my legs. And it was an advertisement for the Energize, because when I'm just not feeling the workouts, you know, to use the Energize. But guys, when I took this picture, I was still so focused on what I was eating. I was still so focused on not missing a workout. Or if I had ice cream at night, then I had to do a double. Like, that was a running joke in my house. Like, if I ate something that wasn't good, Josh would be like, oh, I guess you're just going to do a double tomorrow. Like, he knew that. He knew that just was what I was. And that is not at all freedom. Guys, that's not freedom. And so I look at this picture and it's a good reminder to me, like, wow, like, if I ever get to that place again, I hope I'm free up here, and I hope my mind is more fit this time around. But the cool thing is I don't care if I don't look like that again, because to tell you what, I don't look like that right now. God is really doing a journey on making sure my heart is right. Right here. This is what I was so focused on what I could see and what other people were seeing that I forgot about the most important part of what God sees. Because no one else sees that, guys. No one else sees our spirit. No one else knows our heart and our actions and our thoughts and what we say to ourselves when we look in the mirror, but God does. And that's the most important part. And so I had this verse, and it says, so we fix our eyes not on what is seen, but on what is unseen. Since what is seen is temporary, but what is unseen is eternal. And guys, that's what we're doing. We are getting ourselves to a position of being healthy. And that is not a cookie cutter. It's going to look different for Sarah. It's going to look different for Casey. It's going to look different for Shelly. It's going to look different for me. Different sizes, different lifestyles. And we have to figure out what that is that works for us. I can give tips and I can share what I've learned and I can help you get moving to healthy steps, but that's totally different for each one of us. And it will be. Getting to a goal, whatever that goal is going to be different for each one of us. And the idea behind it is that we can live this life with no health problems, so we can walk out the calling God has for us. So whether that's being a health coach, whether that's being a mom, whether that's being a prayer warrior or a nurse or whatever it is, guys. We need to be healthy so we can go do that. If God says, I need you to go do this, but I can't even get up off the couch, it's going to be hard to do what God wants me to do. It's going to be hard to chase those little ones around. It's going to be hard to stay consistent in disciplining our children because we're tired all the time. Sarah, I love that you said that you're feeling more energy. As a mom of littles, like even with not sleeping, the fact that you have any extra energy at this point is amazing. And that is like that's way bigger than any number on a scale could possibly go, because you're able to fulfill the role that God has called you to right now in your season. And so like, that's the focus. That our goal is to get ourselves to a place in the physical so we can walk out in the supernatural, what God has for us. So that's a verse that I often go back to. And so this is another one I have in here. Good habits are as addictive as bad habits, but much more rewarding. So it's easy to, and that's the idea of this group, is creating healthy habits in our heads, in our food, and in our nutrition. So those are the things that we could become addicted to doing, and doing the good stuff, because it's so much easier to fall out of doing something good. I attend church with Sarah on Monday nights, and the pastor there has said on a number of occasions and brought up again saying, it's easy to maintain a discipline than it is to restart or start a new discipline. And so those moments where we want to be like, oh, I just want to not do this, there's going to be moments where that happens. But when we continue to do that, then we're like falling off the wagon a little bit and going backwards, and helping to keep our end goal in mind, not a jean size, not a number on the scale, but I want to know what it feels like to have this energy every day. And I want to be able to get up in the morning at 4:30 or whatever time in the morning it is, and be able to go do what I need to do. So that's the idea, is for creating good habits. So I wanted to share those pictures with you. Again, that is not what I look like right now. I haven't taken those pictures for a while. But I wanted to share them with you, because whether it is this, okay, when I started, or this, which is probably when I was at my fittest, the only difference is weight. That's it. I hadn't completely transformed on the inside yet. And now when I sit down and I have pizza for supper, and I have some candy because that's what dessert was for tonight, it doesn't happen every night. I'm not going to beat myself up over it. My belly does that for me because it knows it's not good for me. And it's already working its way out, if you know what I mean. So anyways, I just wanted to share that with you guys. Okay, so that's kind of my story in a nutshell. If you have questions, Shelly remembers my first pick. Casey says, oh my gosh, my hubby is that way. He didn't care what size I was unless I hit 300, and only because it was that I gave up on myself. Casey, that's exactly right. You know what Josh used to tell me? He used to say, because I would complain all the time. I would complain all the time about being unhappy and so tired of feeling this way, and I'm fat and blah, 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 blah. And he would be like, he was very direct. He's like, if you're not going to do anything about it, stop complaining about it. And I was like, oh. And I didn't take that real well, because back then I wasn't in a good frame of mind to take that real well. But one day it just kind of sunk in, and I was like, he's absolutely right. Complaining about it is doing nothing. I need to start making changes. And so it's great to have those kind of people in your life. And so by you guys choosing to make a commitment to this group and choosing to reach out to this community and coaching, you are opening the door for someone to speak into your life. And so there's going to be times as we get further along in this year that I'm not just going to sugarcoat anymore or walk you by the hand and feed you milk. You know, there's going to be a place where you guys are ready for meat, and you're ready for, you said, if I'd ask you what the definition of a coach was, go ahead and put your definitions in. Write down, if I said any coach, doesn't have to be a health coach. If someone came up to you and said, what do you think a coach is? Go ahead and put your answers in there. I'll answer a question right now. So Bev, I don't know if you've been on the whole time. I see that you're here. Hello. I lost weight by doing the T25 consistent workouts 5 times a week. That's what I did. I started with Insanity, and then for about 1.5 years, I did T25. And I can't even really say I ate clean, but I became a coach in 2016. I've been doing it for a year, and I was pretty athletic, thanks to my dad. But I wasn't like skinny. I was always like the athletic build. I wasn't like skinny. And I was not raised with healthy eating. I will tell you, my parents to this day, my mom is getting much better, but she still caters to my dad. Vegetables in their house are cooked till they're limp, and then they're brown buttered, and then cheese over top. Casey, that is a Lancaster County, Pennsylvania thing. So, I mean, brown butter on everything, cheese on everything. But that's how they eat their vegetables. So my mom is much better with that now, and she will still do it for my dad when he's home. But he's getting there. He likes to grill. So summertime, they do a lot of grilling they grill some vegetables on there. So, but anyways, okay, a coach. We have 5 minutes left. A coach, Sarah says, teaches you how to do something. Casey says, someone who supports and encourages you no matter what it takes, doesn't sugarcoat what it takes to get to your goals, helps you make goals. And Bev says, you started with a killer workout. You're a great coach. I think a coach is an encourager that teaches us how to be the best I can be. Okay. I had some, those are all great and true. Those are what coaches do. When I think back to my volleyball coach and what he did, he was there to teach. He was there to help us get better. And I was having a conversation with Michelle Myers, who, if you don't follow her, she works his way. She's the founder of that phenomenal woman. I've been mentored by her over the last couple of months, and I had a one-on-one call with her, and she said, she's like, I was concerned about, if I was getting people to see the results that they wanted. And she's like, well, what does a coach do? And I said, she's like, think about your coaches. If you didn't do the work, would you play? I was like, well, no. And she's like, exactly. A coach is there to make sure you're doing what you're on the team to do. And so there's going to be times where you're going to have to get in their face a little bit, obviously in love. But there's going to be times where you need to come at them and say, look, this is what you are. This is why you're here. And so this is what we've talked about, and I want to start seeing you implement that. And it's not going to be from a place of like, you have to do this. But if you really want to get to the place of finding freedom in these areas and walking this out, then you're going to have to do them. And there's going to be a time where we are still learning. We are still in our first 30 days. And I'm still new at this whole concept of getting my mind in line with the other stuff that I know. So I'm still learning. But there is going to come a time later in the future where I might have to, even with myself, like, okay, Alicia, like, when are you going to start taking this seriously? So a coach is someone who who may have to get in your face from time to time and say, look, if you want to play, this is what's going to happen. So there may be times where I have to say, look, guys, if you're serious about reaching this, then you really need to start taking this part seriously. So I was just really encouraged by that, because I was afraid to reach out or just be like, oh, it's okay. And it's not perfect. And we're going to have times where, like Shelly shared, this is why Shelly is leading the Facebook group, guys, when she was like being honest about her meal planning week and how like sometimes you can have the best of intentions and everything falls to the toilet. That's life. That's just life. And so I'm not talking about those times or, if we're walking through a hard time, I'm talking about those, implementing what you're learning the best of your ability. We always tell our kids, God asks us to have a spirit of excellence. As believers, that's what we're supposed to have. We are created in God's image after all. And so we tell our kids, we don't expect perfection, but we do expect to do your best. And so if, they bring home a test and it's a C or a D, but they studied and they gave it their best, then that's okay. And that's what we accept. And so that's what I'm asking you, ladies. I'm asking you to walk this journey. And as you learn, do it with a spirit of excellence and do it within the mind of what Colossians 3:23 says, as if we're doing everything unto the Lord. Meal plan as if you're doing unto the Lord. Do your workout as if you're doing it unto the Lord. Get in your Bible time, your quiet reading time, as if you're doing it unto the Lord, because that's what we're supposed to do. And we're supposed to do it with the spirit of excellence. So Bev says, feel free to call me out when I need it. Thank you for your permission. We are under a minute left. So if anybody has any other questions, I'm going to take some time to share other parts of my life with you, because I feel like they feed into a lot of where my health and fitness journey has led me. There'll be times that we'll talk about the different kinds of struggles that we address as far as eating, like being a bored eater or a social eater, an emotional eater. I've been all of them, and sometimes still have to really be on top of that, or I can find myself falling back into bad habits. So we'll discuss that too. So if you have any specific questions about that, feel free to ask. And again, I'm an open book. If you have questions about health and fitness, finances, marriage, parenting, life, shoot me a message. I'm here. I'm going to probably get cut out, but I want to pray before we leave. So I'm going to do that right now. Father, thank you so much for the opportunity to speak into these girls' lives, God. I pray that you would just continue to speak to their hearts and their spirits, God. Whisper your vision for their life into them. Breathe fresh inspiration and motivation for them to carry out what they're learning. And God, I pray that the decisions that they would make would carry over into and start impacting the people around them. I pray for support